Hi guys. Okay, no faffing about today because we are going to recap and go through a few things very quickly before we get down to the business of the day. Okay guys, the proposed removal of titles bill had its second reading in Parliament on the 24th of November. From here, it goes to the House of Lords for a reading or two, I'm not sure, and then it will be voted on. If it gets a majority vote, it will be presented to the King for royal assent and then written into law. That is more or less, in simple terms, the route it will take before it gets anywhere. Now, I've read the proposed amended bill, and it is not very long and fairly simple. It basically just gives the king the power to strip peerage titles. Please note, peerage titles. What is a peerage title? It is a hereditary title and there are five ranks: Duke, Marquis, Earl, Viscount, and Baron. And until 1999, peers were entitled to sit in the House of Lords and were exempted from jury duty. Most peerages descend down the male line. Okay, now royal dukes, viscounts, earls, etc., is slightly different in the sense that these titles are not hereditary, with the exception of the Duchy of Lancaster and the Duchy of Cornwall, which are indeed hereditary. All others, like for instance the Duke of Edinburgh title, reverts back to the crown once the title holder passes away. Currently, the king can remove any royal title any which way he wants to. He can choose to decide on it by himself and purely inform Parliament so that the titles can be altered in official documentation. He may also take it to his Privy Council and have them vote on it and then present it to Parliament, or he can ask Parliament for their input or a vote on it if potentially it could have political repercussions. But as far as royal titles are concerned, the king can wake up one morning and decide that, say, as from next week Wednesday, Harry will no longer be a prince. Because although Harry was born with the right to be a prince, just like Zara, just like Peter, they were also born with the right to be a prince. It does not mean he has to be one. He is only a prince because it was offered and gifted to him by the monarch at the time, namely Queen Elizabeth II, and his parents, Charles and Diana, decided to accept it. And it can be taken away by the current monarch in the blink of an eye and the stroke of a pen. And the same goes for the styling of HRH, His or Her Royal Highness. However, although Harry's ducal title, the Duke of Sussex, his title of Earl of Dumbarton or Baron Kilkeel, are also honorary royal titles gifted to him by the grace and favour of Her Majesty the Queen, by nature of the titles, honorary or not, to remove it will likely take a vote from Parliament. However, different from other peerage titles, the process in the case of royal titles start with the monarch. Whereas, as I said, the process to strip, let's say, real peerage titles, more often than not, starts in Parliament, and for numerous reasons. A peer taking his seat in the House of Lords need not be voted in. It is his right by nature of his title. However, the peers in the House of Lords have less rights and capabilities than voted in members of Parliament, and their interest is also far more localized than global or national. I mean, House of Lord peers may discuss things like building a road from one county to the next, that kind of thing. So, if a peer wants to become a member of parliament, he has to give up his peerage title. Other reasons why Parliament may strip a peer is because he was convicted of an illegal offence or for gross misconduct. So basically, although in practice it may be different, the King can have Harry's HRH and princely title removed from one day to the next by relying on the Titles Deprivation Act of 1917, by which the King and his Privy Council can discuss and vote on which titles to be removed and why, and after which the report is laid before Parliament. And as far as royal titles are concerned, maybe not really in practice, but once the King's order has been issued on the Privy Council report, the person or persons can be deprived of their royal titles within a day. If the King, however, decides to treat Harry's honorary peerage titles like any other peerage title, then it can take up to 40 days. Okay, now cool. Now we know why normal peerage titles can be removed by Parliament. I mean, criminal acts, gross misconduct, or by request because the peer wants to put himself up for election to become a member of Parliament. But what would be valid reasons to remove a royal title? Well, there is actually a list, a very, very short one. Titles will be removed if 1. You bear arms against His Majesty or his allies. 2. Have adhered to His Majesty's enemies. And 3. In general, if and when someone is branded a traitor to crown and country. Now, funnily enough, when you look up the definition of a traitor under British law, you will hear or read very, very similar words. I mean, just listen. Offences constituting high treason include plotting the murder of the sovereign, levying war against the sovereign and adhering to the sovereign's enemies, giving them aid or comfort, and lastly, attempting to undermine the lawfully established line of succession. Now I'm asking you. Actually, no, I shouldn't ask you. I should ask the King. How much more damage must Harry do? What more must he say before he is finally branded a traitor and stripped of all his titles? How many more times must he say he does not like England? He doesn't want to be a prince. How many more times must him and his wife brand anyone who does not agree with them or who does not pander to their demands racist? How many more times must he, his wife, and their lackeys slander and hurt your other son and your beloved daughter-in-law before you say enough is enough and strip them of every honor and title gifted to them, starting with comments made during the Oprah interview, the Me You Don't See, the numerous other interviews, the Netflix six-part series, Harry's book Spare, and interviews which followed that, through to this book by Omid Scobie. How much more damage must be done and hurt dished out before the king says, I'm going to do the only thing I can do to discipline these two and strip those titles and distance the monarchy from them as much as possible. Allegedly, a Buckingham Palace source told Daily Mail's Rebecca English the palace is considering all options open to them, and the king's aides are seriously looking at how they should, if at all, respond. Now, it is statements like this one which have me pull at my hair and cry out in despair. But before I get any further into it, let me just inform certain channels with more subscribers than my own, basically because bullshit sells, that the king cannot sue or be sued. You know, if you are subpoenaed to appear in a British court, you will be called to attend His Majesty's Court. One of the four courts in Britain is called the King's Bench, or the High Court is also referred to as the Crown Court. Now, I know the King does not own every brick of every court or pays every judge or magistrate out of his own pocket, but the same way the King cannot issue himself a driver's license or passport in his own name, he cannot sue someone in his own name in his own court, or for that matter, be sued in his own name in his own court. But with the exception of the king, everyone else can sue or be sued. Prince William can sue, and so can Catherine, Princess Anne, Princess Michael, and numerous of the journalists mentioned in Omid Scobie's book can go sue him. And I truly hope that someone does. Omid Scobie, like his mistress Meghan, needs to be stopped, or at least they need to be disciplined. Look, I still see some people on Instagram and Twitter say things like, oh, but the royals should not validate this BS by responding to it. And to you, I'm saying we are way past that stage. Even Dickie Arbiter, who worked for the Queen and who is as old school as she was, said on GB News that we are way past that stage and that the monarchy has to respond now. Imagine you are a kid walking home from school every day, and on the first day of the term, you walk past the bully and he throws a scrunched up ball of paper at you. You smile and you walk on. Day two, he throws you with, say, an eraser. You smile and you walk on. Day three, he throws an empty can at you. Day four, a book. Day five, a shoe. And day six, he throws a brick at you. And although you have been ignoring him and smiling at him, and you did not complain or explain, you are indeed now bleeding. And why? Because you did nothing about the harassment and therefore it escalated. And that is exactly what is happening here. I'm not sure about Harry, But Meghan is not going to stop until she is made to stop or forced to stop. And it appears that Harry, whether he wants to or not, is incapable of getting her to stop. Not only does the inaction or the lack of action from the king and the crown look weak, but how can they expect us to respect them if they do not respect themselves? Where is the pride and honor? You know, the stuff they fought duels over in the past? Even liberal papers are now coming out saying it is ridiculous that Harry and Meghan keep their titles, yet keep trashing the very country and institution they got those titles from. Anyway, while we are angry on behalf of the royal family, King Charles is in Dubai for the COP28 summit. Now, as you know, I am not too keen on that. I am of the opinion that a politician rather than the king should attend. Although Charles is there under the auspices of being an environmentalist, I think we all know that there are a lot of political shenanigans going on during these COP meetings. William and Catherine also welcomed Crown Princess Victoria and Crown Prince Daniel, the future Queen and King of Sweden, to Windsor Castle this morning. They will all attend the Royal Variety concert in London tonight. What a pity we have to wait so long to see it, but I'm sure there will be some photographs tomorrow. Okay, guys, and I will be back again tomorrow. Maybe a bit late-ish, because I am again going out of town house hunting. But I'm sure I'll pop in, even if it's just to say hi. So until then, please take good care of yourselves. Bye.